Hey guys, welcome here. In last lecture we started with arrays and we finished up with the for loops. In this lecture I'll continue. I will explain you for loop we started in last lecture and I will show you other for loops and also we'll try to iterate our cars and call our display info function in iteration. So let's start. Let's see our app.js and our for loop and let's try to understand what is happening here. So here we have a for loop, here we have an expression in normal brackets. So we are creating variable I. We are assigning to our I variable a value of 0. So our I is a 0. Here is a condition. This middle value is a condition. So if I is a less than 10, then execute this code in a curly brackets. Okay, so since I is a 0, 0 is less than 10, this is resolved as a true. So our console log is displayed. Our I is 0, so we are consoling log 0 here. As you can see here, our first value. Node app.js. Okay, so this is our first value. This is our first iteration. Okay, and then this last expression here, I++ means to iterate, to not iterate, but to increase this value of I by 1. Okay, so when this code is executed, I is incremented by 1. Okay, so I was previously 0, I is incremented to 1, 1 is less than 10, so execute console log of 1. I is incremented again, I is 2, 2 is less than 10, console log me 2. I is again incremented, that's 3, 3 is less than 10, then it's console logged here 3. Okay, and it's continuing to a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then it's incremented to a 9, this is still less than 10, so this will console log here a 9, but when it's a 9, it's increment again to a 10, but a 10 is not a less than 10, because 10 is the same as a 10, so this is resolved as a false, so this means it will jump outside of our for loop. Okay, and that's basically it. So let's write here debugger, and let's try to understand with the debugger. So right here, actually not debugger, breakpoint. One breakpoint here and one breakpoint here. All right, save this. Let's go to our debugger. Let's run this. All right, so let's see. Okay, we have here our cars, that's okay. And then we are displaying our car info, that's fine. But what's happening here? So we have here our variable I, we are assigning there 0. Okay, you can see here I is 0. Now we are on a middle condition. I is less than 10, so 0 is less than 10, so this is true. Let's continue, and now this will execute console log with our I of a 0. Let's click here on arrow. Now we are again here, it's incremented now, so I should be still 1. Okay, let's continue it here, so let's step over. Let's see I is 1, okay, it was incremented, so 1 is less than 10. All right, so let's console log me here 1. Okay, let's continue. Now I should be 2, 2 is smaller than 10, so console log me 2, and that's continuing in an iteration all the time. We have here now value of 6. All right, let's continue to 9. All right, so 8. All right, so 9 now, okay, and now it will increment to a 10. 10 is a smaller, it's not smaller than 10, is equal, so this will be resolved as a false. This will jump outside of a 4. There is no other code in our file, so this is terminated, nothing more to execute, and that's it. Okay, so very simple for loop. If you don't understand the syntax here, I++, this is just incrementing number plus 1. Okay, so plus 1. This is the same as writing, okay, I can rewrite it. I is equal to I plus 1. Okay, maybe there is something more understandable. All right, so this will have the same results. Okay, so again, here is a 1, this is 0, 0 is less than 10, console log me 0. Then it will increment to 1, okay, so I should be 1. All right, and again, this is happening until number 9. Okay, so when we will have a 9, we will console log, this will increment to 10, condition is not met any longer, and then we'll jump outside of the for loop. That's basically it. Okay, I can create the same loop with a while. So how the while works? Let's go. Actually, we are here, so I can create here a similar loop with a while. Okay, and I can provide here expression to a while body. So let's say if I is the same is less than 10, and I will comment this code here. Oops. Like this. So while I is smaller than 10, then repeat the code inside of a curly bracket. Of course, we need to create here I, so I will write here up here, let I is equal to 0. Alright, so if I is less than 10, console log me here I. Perfect. Then, of course, this will repeat when you will run it now. This will repeat infinite amount of times because we are not increasing I here. So what I can do here is I equal to I plus 1 in the last line here. Let's save this. Let's go to our terminals. Let's run here, and you can see exactly the same thing happens as before. Alright, and I can create it also like this. It's simpler, I plus plus, more readable. We are incrementing by 1 our I value. Okay, so let's run this. Node upload.js 0 until 9 is here. Perfect. Alright, so these are while, these are for. Of course, we have more loops, but this basically for loop is the most important one. And we can show later the other ones, but for now I would like to just play with the for loop. So I will comment this while loop, I will uncomment for loop, and of course you don't need to name this variable I here. You can name it a k or a j as you want. Okay guys, so this is up to you how you want to name this variable, but by the standard is always, you will see in an example, it's called I standing for iteration. Alright, so I is equal to 10. Okay, you can assign here any value you want. So if I is 5, if I is 5, so this will start iteration with the number of 5, and this will repeat only 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so 5 times. So when I will run this, you will see iteration from a 5 to a 9. Okay, so the same iteration, but starting with a different number. Of course, I can change a condition here. I can say here if I is a 20, and if I is a greater, let's say if I is a greater than 10, all right. In this case, what we can do is a decrement I. So decrement I, and now you can guess what we will get here. Okay, so go ahead, stop the video, and you can guess what we will get inside of a console log. All right, you got it. So we will get here a console log. We will starting I is at 20. 20 is more than 10. Okay, that's true. So we will display here 20. We will continue with this. We will be decrementing each iteration. So we will have another iteration. Next iteration will have a 19 here. 19 is a greater than 10. Display here 19. So we'll have a 20, 19, 18, 17, and so on. We'll go to 11. We'll display here console log 11. Then we'll decrement it one more time to the 10. 10 is not a greater than 10 because 10 is equal to a 10. So this will resolve into a false, and we will display only numbers from a 20 to 11. Okay, so let's run this, and you can see here 20 until 11 is here. So you can change these conditions, as you wish, but don't forget you don't want to repeat this cycle infinite amount of times. You need to create here something that's changing your value, so you will not repeat it until end of the universe. Okay. All right, so we have here this nice for loop. What I would like to do from you now, this is mini assignment. I would like to iterate here over our cars. I would like to iterate over our cars, and in iteration, I would like to display here our car info. Okay, this can be maybe a little bit more challenging. So if you are not sure how to do it, just follow my lead. If you feel like you want to do this assignment, just stop the video and try to display info in iterations. So I would like to iterate over a cars exactly 2 times because I have only 2 items. So I would like to iterate in my cars 2 times, and I would like to display cars and a display info. So I would like to get here our index. So you would like to access here cars on an index of 0, cars on an index of 1. I would like to get this part dynamically. All right, and then just display info. Go ahead. All right, guys. Okay. Yeah, of course, this was a little bit harder assignment if you're not familiar with the for loops, but when I will explain it to you now, you will know it and you can use it in the later assignment. So let's see how we can do it. We'll start iterations very simple as before. We'll start on a 0 because our array is starting with the index 0. Every array is starting with the index 0, so that's why I is equal to a 0. Now we want to iterate here. We want to iterate here 2 times. So let's say if I is smaller, then how we can get here 2? We can get here our car's length. Car's length will return 2 because we have 2 cars, okay? So if a car's length. So if I is smaller than car's length, so if I is smaller in the case of a car's, exactly 2. And then simply increment me I plus plus. Okay, so I will get here in the first iteration, I is a 0. 0 is smaller than 2. And then I would like to display here our cars. Since I is holding value of a 0 in first iteration, I can get here cars on I. All right, and then display me car info. Display info like this. And that's it. Now I should see here console log of our 2 cars, and I will remove these ones here. Okay. Let's save this, and let's run this, and let's run here node.js. And you can see here Mercedes-Benz 1995 and Mitsubishi Lancer 2002. Alright guys, so this is how you can dynamically display your items. If you still have a problem to grasp this concept, you can just simply debug your code. So let's write here a breakpoint, let's run this, and you will see, we'll jump over here, we'll assigning to I0. 0 is smaller than a car's length, which is a 2. Then we'll get here, we'll want to access here cars on an index of a 0, which is my first car here, and I would like to call on this car display info function. Alright, so I will display here Mercedes-Benz, the same will happen with our second car, Mitsubishi Lancer. This iteration is over because I is not longer smaller than a car's length, so 2, and we'll jump outside of here and will not display anything more. If I would hardcode here, so let's say if I is smaller than 10, this iteration would continue, but I don't have any items on index of 3, of index of 4. I have here only index 0 and index 1. So let's see what will happen now. Okay, our first 2 iterations should run okay. So I will display here Mercedes-Benz, I will display here Mitsubishi Lancer, but now I'm going on an index of 3, of a 2. Okay, and I have here only index 0, index 1. I don't have here index 2, so let's see what will happen. I will get here error. You can see here, I'll get here error, cannot read property display info of undefined. Because I try to access here our car on index of 2 and there is no car. So this means this is undefined. So you can also display it like this. I'll just display here console log cars on index of I. Let's run this and you will see, we'll display here our first, second car, and now it will be just undefined, 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 undefined until 9. And of course, when you are trying to call functions on undefined value, you will get errors as you could see before. So let's see one more time this error. Okay, so I would like to show you one more time this error because this is very important. Let's see one more time this error. Here. Okay, so read this with me. Cannot read property display info on undefined. So it's saying cannot read property display info, so it can read this property display info of on undefined, and in this case cars I is undefined, so this can get you some hints what is happening wrong here. So this is the same as writing undefined display info. That's what this error is saying to you. Okay, cannot read property display info on undefined. All right, on run up on line 25 here. Okay, so that's what is happening here. And okay, it's always important to understand the errors, and let's change it as it was before. So on a cars dot length. Alright guys, so that's our iterations, and yeah, let's continue a little bit more with this. Now you have some basics of iterations. I don't want to finish this lecture just now. I would like to continue with this, and I would like to incorporate here for not for all but if statements. All right, so first I will show you if statement. So let's say I would like to display only car info if my car brand is equal to Mitsubishi. I would like to display only car info with the car brands of a Mitsubishi. How can I do it? Go ahead. Let's create here if statement and display this info only when the car's brand is equal to Mitsubishi. Alright, so I've learned here a simple if statement and I would like to display car info inside of this if statement. Okay? Like this. I would like to display this info only when my cars on index of I is equal to Mitsubishi. And you can see here I have here a straight away error. Get this Mitsubishi because I'm trying to compare a car object with a Mitsubishi string. Of course, I need to access here car on index of I. I would like to get here brand. Okay, so the car on an index of 0. In the case of the first car is a Mercedes, so this will not run. In a second iteration, this will run. This will be resolved as a true, and it will display our info. So when I will run this, I can run it with a debugger. You will see now we are comparing car on index of 0. So you can see here car on index of 0. This is my Mercedes. I will call on this function. I will call on this object brand. Okay, I will try to get a property of a brand. And this will of course not go to inside of the if statement because the brand is Mercedes. In the second iteration, we are on an index of 1. You can see car on an index of 1 is a Mitsubishi. I will try to access here brand Mitsubishi is equal to a Mitsubishi string that will resolve into a true, and this will display me my car info. So I will get here Mitsubishi Lancer 2002. Okay, and that basically is what I wanted to show you. I will show you one more loop, and this one is called for each. You don't want to always write here these four statements manually. So if you want to, you can use a function already available on arrays, so you can access cars dot, and then similarly as a length, you can use here for each. But a for each is a function. I will not explain it right now in the details. I will just explain it very briefly, and in the next lecture we'll go into more details. What you need to provide to a for each is a function. So write your function like this. And in a function, wait a second, here is this. Oh, I have here some more brackets. One more time, I will let me. It should be like this. It should be without these brackets here. You should provide instead of this function. And inside of this function, in a parameter of this function, you get a value of your iterated item. In this case, car, because we are iterating cars. So I can get here my single car, and I can call here car.displayInfo, like this. I will comment this first for loop, and we will see if we are displaying our cars correctly. Alright, so node app.js, we are getting our Mercedes-Benz and Mitsubishi Lancer. Let's debug this, so you'll see what's happening here. So let's write a breakpoint inside. And you will see that at each iteration here, let's click here, this continue execution. You will get here a car. Okay, so you have a car, and you can display here info. Okay, so you can display here Mercedes-Benz, then in the second iteration I get here Mitsubishi Lancer. So maybe for now this may be something that's magically working for you. Later I will explain in a detail how this for each is working, because we'll create our custom for each. For now, what you need to know that to for each you need to provide a function. In the parameters of this function, you will get a value you are currently iterating over, and you can call this, of course, this is an argument of the function. You can call it as you want. So I can call it function, and I can provide here, for example, a. And then you know that you are iterating over your item in the cars, so you can display here display info on a, because this will be your car. When I will run this, you will see that we'll iterate over our item. Our a is our first car. So we'll display here our info about the first car, and a second iteration will display here info about the second car. And that's something I just wanted to show you, so you have a little bit of overview what we'll be using in the next lectures, but we'll explain this in a detail in the next lectures. Alright guys, I think that should be enough. We already spent a lot of time here, so I will finish this lecture here, and in the next lecture I would like to continue with very important topic, and this is called inheritance. So guys, let's see you in the next one, and have a good day. Alright guys, cheers.